Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Zadaran here, and we're still in the final stages of our writing. We are revising. Yesterday, you did some revision work. It was the second day of revision, so now your story should be nice and long and detailed, longer, stronger. And we are still working on revision today, but we're working on a different part of our writing, which we all should have written already. Our introduction. So you should already have written your introduction, but today you're going to revise it because revising makes our writing better. We go back and we fix things. So remember, this is the part of the writing process we are in. We are revising, okay? And what we're going to revise today more specifically is I can write an introduction that hooks the reader and tells the reader what I'll be writing about. The introduction is a really important part of your writing because it's what the reader reads first, and you want to get them excited. You want to hook them in and really want to convince them that that what you're writing about is worth reading. So that means there are a lot of interesting ways that we can hook those readers, and then kind of let them know what we're going to be talking about. Whether we've written an opinion piece, we'll share what our opinion is. Whether we've written a narrative, we'll share what our story is going to be about. Or an information book, we'll share what we are going to teach them. So let's take a look at some strategies we can use when we revise our writing, because you want to make sure you have an interesting hook. And here are some of the ways that you can begin your introduction to really hook those readers, okay? And you're going to try one of these today because your introduction, you want it to be really good and really grab the attention of those readers. So here are 5 ways that you can write an interesting lead or introduction. The first way we talk about is action, okay? So you start your story, your information book, your opinion piece with an action or a verb, right? So this story started digging my toes into the warm, moist sand. So this is probably a narrative, right? Narrative of maybe someone at the beach. They started with the action of digging their toes. That's so cool, and you can really imagine it in your head. The second step is, I don't know, some of you might have remembered this word from my class. It's a big word. It's called onomatopoeia. And onomatopoeia is words that have sound. They're sound words, we call them. So words like bam, whoosh, smash, pow, bang. Those are onomatopoeia words. And those kind of like action, right? So this story starts with bam. The ball blasted over the crowd and out of the stadium. So that's probably a narrative about someone at a baseball game, maybe. Could be a how-to book about how to hit a ball really far, but they start with a sound word, which is really interesting. The third step is a great way to start a narrative, especially dialogue, when someone's speaking in your story. So, hey, come on, shouted my brother loudly. That's another great way to start a story because the reader really wants to find out who's talking, why are they saying that, we want to read more. The fourth one is a really popular way that we start a lot of our how-to books. Opinion people might want to ask a question when they begin their piece. Have you ever ridden the Rattler at Fiesta, Texas? So when we talked about science words, we taught you about that. I taught you about vacuuming. I asked, have you ever had pesky crumbs all over your floor? Remember that? So we really want to get the reader curious. We can ask a question or a series of questions, right? We might want to ask more than one to really get them curious about what we're teaching them. And the last introduction you might want to try in your writing today is a feeling introduction where you really try to express an emotion. So the freezing white snow fell slowly on top of the land. I felt like I was going to freeze my fingers off, okay? Or whatever feeling you felt. So those are 5 ways that you can revise your introduction today to make it stronger. I'm going to go back to this chart we have about our exemplars, and we're going to talk a little bit about which of these 5 introductions they used in their writing. So let's take a look. Remember, we're working on introduction, so the blue, and you either chose to do a narrative, an information book, or an opinion piece. So our exemplars are Raymond's Awesome Christmas, Judah's Fencing Book, and Petra's Dork Diaries opinion piece. And we're going to take a look at a few of those today to see which introductions they use to make their leads interesting. So let's take a look at 2 today. Let's start with Judah's Fencing Book. He is writing an information book. And let's see how he started. He actually started like this. So his book starts with this. He said, "Did you know that fencing is a sport where you sword fight?" So if you can't tell there, he started with a question, okay? This is a way that you can choose to start your introduction, right? But listen, guys, his whole first page is just an introduction. He doesn't even start writing his story until the second page. So really make sure that your introduction is lengthy, is interesting, because that's the first thing that readers read. So not a few sentences, more than that, not one sentence. Definitely you want to really make it as nice and long as possible. And then we have here Raymond's awesome Christmas story, which is a narrative piece, right? So if you're writing a story about something that happened to you, let's see how Raymond started his. He said, "Jackson, when are we going to open presents?" I yelled. So his piece he started with a dialogue, okay, with a character talking. That's an awesome way to start a narrative piece, because people really get interested in who's talking, what they're saying, things like that. So here I have my opinion persuasive piece about the Avengers, and I really want to start it off by hooking those readers. And mine starts like this: "The Avengers are a group of amazing superheroes that save the world and rescue people from danger." Now, looking back at the chart that I just showed you, I'm not sure if I've used any of these interesting leads, right? So let's take a look at it again. Okay, so I didn't really start with action. I didn't have dialogue. I didn't ask a question. So now that I've written my long introduction, I'm going to go back and make sure that I pick one of these to really focus on. That's going to work for my writing. And then I'm going to show you what I picked and came up with. So guys, this is what I came up with in just a few short minutes. And I only added a few sentences because my introduction was so long already. I started like this. I said, "Pow, boom, crash. Do you hear that? That's the sound of the Avengers. The Avengers are a group of amazing superheroes that save the world and rescue people from danger." And then I continue. So I actually used a few different things here. Pow, boom, crash. Those are types of onomatopoeia. And then I ask, "Do you hear that? That's the sound of the Avengers." So I actually used number 2 here, onomatopoeia, when I did sound words. And then I also did number 4. I asked a question, okay? So make sure today you really hook your readers using one of these 5 different introduction types. And then you really want to make sure your introduction is long and you tell us what you're writing about, okay? My opinion piece ends with me stating my opinion, okay? I say the last sentence is, "Out of all of the Avengers, Captain America is my favorite," right? So there's 3 important things that you need to remember today when you're revising your introduction. And if you haven't written an introduction, keep this in mind when you've written it, even though you should have. But if you have, then you're revising, you're fixing it up, make it stronger. So the first thing you need to remember is you need to pick one of those 5 options from the chart. Okay, the second thing you need to remember is you need to tell me what you're going to be writing about in this story. So that means if you're writing an opinion piece, you tell me your opinion. If you're writing a narrative, you're telling me what your story is going to be about. Or if you're writing an information book or a how-to, you're telling me what you're going to teach me. And the third thing to remember when you write an introduction is that make it more than 1 or 2 sentences, right? It needs to be nice and long. We're almost in 3rd grade. Write. Fill up that page, fill up that second page. The introduction is the first thing your reader reads, so really make it strong, okay? So recap, pick an interesting hook from that chart. Second thing, tell me what you're going to be writing about. Third thing, make it nice and long. Okay, guys, good luck today. I'm so excited to read these introductions.